Hey babes, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brandy. I am the host of the Be Real Babe Show, a spinoff of the Be Real Babe podcast. And today, you guys, I have some internet insanity for you. And I thought that I would take a little break from all the perverts and the criminals and the extremely crazy and kind of dial it back and do a little throwback to when I was a teenager and a show called America's Next Top Model. I think if you're a millennial, that probably sends a little bit of fear down your spine. It was a wild time, you guys. I think we can all agree about that. But a new article popped up from Monday and it kind of caught my attention. And then it led me, of course, down a rabbit hole, down to another one. And then I kind of just remembered how insane TV was at that time in the early 2000s. And so I want to go over two different articles. One is a specific situation of the actual first winner of the show speaking out about her experience. And then I stumbled down another 14 different 14 other then I stumbled down another 14 different contestants that have spoken out about 20 different circumstances. So we're going to talk about a few of those. So if you're interested in traveling down memory lane with me, stick around and we'll jump right in. All right, babes, as mentioned, I have several stories for you today, but all circling around America's Next Top Model. Like I said, I wanted to do a little bit of a break because I have a kind of a theme of talking about perverts and pedophiles and just criminals in general when I'm looking on the internet stuff, or bad parenting. And this one, I think millennials all feel that America's Next Top Model was quite something at the time. I highly suggest going back and rewatching that. And if you're wondering why we all have body dysmorphia, I think it would be seeing this and having zero support in how to emotionally regulate and understand that these are models and what they were going through was not great. And I think a lot of us could say that we would look up to celebrities and Hollywood and actors growing up and think, God, I wish we were them. I wish we had, Hillary Duff's life, or wish I had, that I was famous, all these different things, or I wish I was a model. And then as we're learning, especially, well, Hollywood, if you've been around here, you know what we talk about. That kind of, as the illusion's kind of been broken. And now we see, how they truly do sell their souls. And there's a lot more going on in the background, especially now with social media. We're learning more and more and more every single day. So this show is no different. But going back, honestly, you guys, looking at some of the women that they were calling fat and large, and they said these things, and, I'm not saying we should be so sensitive to words, but also at the same time, like, you could see how without any awareness is very much created a bunch of body dysmorphia within anybody who watched these shows. And it was kind of wild how they talk to people, and I get it's for entertainment. At the same time, did they have consent to be talked down to like this? I don't know. You guys let me know. But let's jump into the first story that came out, like I said, on Monday that caught my eye, and then we'll carry on from there. So America's Next Top Model winner Adrienne Curry reveals why she didn't complain about oozing wound makeover at the time. I grinned and bared it, man, the Cycle 1 winner said after alleging that a painful weave left her partially bald 22 years later. Wow, I feel so old. That was 22 years ago. Days after alleging that America's Next Top Model makeover left her partially bald 22 years after winning Cycle 1 of Tyra Banks' modeling competition show, reality star Adrienne Curry is hitting back at online commentators who questions her claim. The 43-year-old former model and current Avon sales rep responded to critics in an Instagram video Monday in which Curry addressed those who doubted her allegations that the weave she received on the reality show led to an oozing wound on the side of her head with long-lasting effects. Oh, and like, we know this stuff can happen. Like, people, and I'm not just saying it's in malice or anything like that. Like, some people just have bad reactions to things. Everyone's different and everyone's going to react differently. And I know for myself, sometimes I really do not do good. Like, I did a hair show one time with Kevin Murphy products, and there's no shade to Kevin Murphy, but I had no idea there was black pepper. I have allergy to black pepper. I couldn't figure out why I was breaking out in hives everywhere. Turns out there's pepper in my fucking shampoo. Like, there's nothing wrong with their products. I was just allergic to it. You know what I mean? So, like, why does everyone get so mad about that? I just don't understand why we get so mad about people's experiences. In the clip, Curry addressed a bunch of chicks whom she tried to explain the hair thinning on the side of her head as this. Okay. So in the clip, Curry addressed a bunch of chicks whom she tried to explain the thinning hair on the side of her head as a symptom of perimenopause. Don't get me started on these words. 2003. Oh my God, guys. Oh, that was 20 years ago. I was 20 years old. I was not perimenopausal at 20. No, you weren't. Curry said, referencing the age she was at the time of the filming Cycle 1 of Top Model, which aired in 2003. Did they know my head was scabbed upon Top Model? Yes, because they gave us a new weave the night before the finale, Curry alleged. I think it was the night before. They put infusions in because I had too many wounds and scabs. She added that she barely slept at all in my weave because it made my whole body cringe. And she recalled being in so much pain. Oh no. She added that she barely slept at all in my weave because it made my whole body cringe, and recalled being in so much pain that it was so uncomfortable as she prepared to walk in the show's finale runway challenge. Curry also addressed questions of why she didn't speak up at the time. I knew if I said anything, they were going to eliminate my ass, and I wanted to win a bunch of money, which I didn't, she claimed, referencing to her prior allegation, which she also spoke about in a 2003 interview with Entertainment Weekly, that she didn't receive a large sum of allegedly promised prize money upon winning the show. That's what I thought I was trying to do, is to help my family, so that's why I just grinned and bared it, she concluded. Man, it's what you got to do. This makes me so mad. This is like when you find out about the home makeover edition. You remember that show where they redo people's homes for families and stuff like that, and you find out that they get hit with the mortgage and they can't afford it and they lose the house and then they lose their original homes, things like that. Like it like breaks your heart when you find out some of these good stories, or sometimes not the best behind the scenes, and these ones were outwardly not great, but at the same time it's just like, again, they hype these things up and it's not as it appears on the outside, even before social media. Crazy. EW has reached out to a representative for Banks, who did not respond to EW's prior outreach about Curry's makeover, and to former America's Next Top Model producer Ken Moak for comment. Curry previously told EW that during a go-see challenge with modeling agents in Paris, she was groped on the street outside, which was partially documented on the show, before making the previously mentioned allegations that she received prizes that ultimately paled in comparison to what the show reportedly promised contestants amid production. What I won was to go to Revlon Corporate, sit in a back room, and have a makeup artist put on makeup on my face for a team of about 7 people watching me. Who the fuck would fight as hard as we fought for that? Curry added, saying that she felt fucking humiliated by the gig, which she claimed came to a $15,000 paycheck, a far cry from a huge Revlon models. She remembered the judges telling the contestants they'd become huge Revlon models. She remembered the judges telling contestants they'd become thanks to the program. Yee. So that's one of the other. So of course, naturally, I'm like, what is she saying? What is she saying? And then that led me down this other article. So that was from this Monday, November 3rd. But this article is from May 20th, 2023. I'm not going to go through all of them. If you guys want a part 2, please let me know in the comments if you do. But I just thought I'd pull some of the most intense ones. Our co-host is back for those that are here for Mr. Benjamin. He is with us now. We'll see how long he'll last. See if I can get. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's go through some of these stories back from 2023. From Tyra Banks yelling at Tiffany to Callan's graveyard shoot and models switching races on 2 cycles, EW goes inside 20 of the most shocking moments in the ANTM history. After 2 decades of fan obsession and dissection, from one-way dissertations to Tyra Banks flexing model behavior from the head of the judging panel, who really came on top of America's Next Top Model. 20 years after Banks launched the first season, or cycle as they were known in the world of the show, of her juggernaut modeling competition on May 20th, 2003, W caught up with former contestants to reflect on some of the show's most controversial moments, and they didn't hold back while discussing everything from Banks' infamous tirade on Cycle 4 to the contestants switching races for photo shoots that blurred the line between fashion and reality TV excess. And that's not even just all of it. It was just the behavior and the way they talk to people. Again, I understand, because there's a line blurred of like what's reality TV, what's written. I think all of us know that a lot of the reality TV obviously is curated and they're manipulated, and I get all that. At the same time, it's very interesting. I think you should go back. I think you should go on YouTube and put in America's Next Top Model, like worst moments. There's actually a lot of YouTubers that have done a lot of videos and deep dives on this. I really suggest going to YouTube deeper on this. But It sounds like they've requested several times to talk about some of these things and they got declined. So let's go through the top ones. Again, there's 14 contestants talking about the 20 most shocking. I'm just going to pull some of them, not all of them. So cycle 1, episode 6, Adrienne is sexually assaulted on go-sees in Paris. So to elaborate a little bit more on what happened to Adrienne, Top Models Go-See Challenge, which tasked the contestants with traversing international city streets to attend real-life fashion designers' mock castings, was often a lively, entertaining standout among each cycle's rotation. But the Go-See's first go-around ended with one of the darkest moments ANTM ever captured on camera. While she struggled to find the English-speaking Parisian to help while she struggled to find an English-speaking Parisian to help her find the location of her next meeting, eventual Cycle 1 winner Adrienne Curry was sexually assaulted on the streets of the French city. This guy looks like he's really listening to me, Curry recalls of a man approaching her as she struggled to navigate the city and totally touched her vagina. Jesus Christ. He reached out and up my skirt, she says. I was in such deep shock. The camera crew, boss mode, were not allowed to talk, but they all but put themselves between me and this dude. They were there for me. Curie, who tells EW she was molested as a child and raped when she was younger, says that on-camera moment fucked her up from the point after triggering her post-traumatic stress disorder that caused night terrors through her adult life, and remembers she was too distraught to make it to the next meeting during the challenge. I couldn't get my shit together. I'm all teary and shaky-handed, she recalls, and matters were made worse by the fact that the anonymous man made off in the crowd before they could track him down or contact police. He just went off, said Curry. I just thought, gross, weirdo asshole. As I processed, I felt worse about it. It's not something you feel good about. You feel violated and gross. So again, like, why wasn't she kept safe? Like, I get some of these challenges for sure, but at the same time, like, maybe having somebody there, perhaps a little bit better security. I don't know, just a thought when you're having young, beautiful women travel around trying to figure their way around. Just a thought, just a thought. But let's carry on with another one that comes from Adrienne too. Let's just keep piling on. Third one's a charm. Cycle 1, episode 9, Adrienne wins virtually nothing. So this is going to elaborate a little bit more on what she quote unquote won. One of you is about to be a star in the matter of minutes, Tyra Banks told Adrienne Curry and Shannon Stewart before crowning ANTM's first winner. Your life is going to change. Things would certainly change for Curry, who prevailed over Stewart as the show's first winner in 2003, but she tells EW her prizes might have hurt her career as a model more than they helped. So we already went through this. She said she felt humiliated, that she just went to pretty much, sounds like an event, $15,000. Maybe she got paid entirely. Although they were promising contestants huge Revlon models with careers on par to like Cindy Crawford and Banks herself, which it sounds like did not happen. On the final episode of the cycle, Banks said that the winner would receive a contract with Revlon, a fashion spread in Marie Claire magazine, and representation by top modeling agency Wilhelmina? I don't know. Sorry. But Curry claims that ANTM switching out Wilhelmina for IMG Models as the prize agency on Cycle 2 made her a pariah at work. They wanted me to fail. They straight up told me they were pissed off because Top Model made them a bunch of promises they didn't keep because no agency wanted to be a part of the show when it first came out. They were bitter as fuck over the shift and hoped that in holding her back from castings, it would reflect poorly on the credibility of Banks' show. 20 years ago, Wilhelmina had a different owners and staff. They're now a public company. It seems unlikely there would be sufficient motivation to harm Tyra and not to try to maximize a model's earning potential. Well, Curry maintains that her relationship with the agency was so bad that her ex-husband Brady Bunch star Christopher Knight attempted to get her out of the 3-year agreement. Well, another part that I thought was kind of interesting here, we'll just read. Tyra Banks looked out for Tyra Banks. She's a product of her environment, and I don't blame her. For her to be as successful as she is, bravo. She doesn't owe me shit. I know there's a lot of bitter contestants. I'm not. I'm glad that it happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it did remodel my life. Banks declined to comment on Curry's allegations. So that's fucked. So those are all the different things just from Adrienne. Now let's go to the other ones I thought that were pretty fucked up. Okay. Cycle 1, Episode 7, Robin and Shannon refuse to pose nude. A teary-eyed Robin Manning stood in a bathroom in a Buddha bar restaurant in Paris, scolding Jay Manuel with a quote from her grandmother amid the ANTM creative director's attempt to get the devout Christian to participate in a nude editorial shoot. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything, Manning said on the episode as Shannon Stewart, another religious Cycle 1 contestant, stood beside her. Unfortunately for Manning, she fell right out of the competition over her refusal to pose naked during the pre-nultimate challenge of the season, which eventual winner Adrian Curry tells EW unfolded with more drama than what we saw on TV. They made it seem like they set everything up all private for us, and that was really manipulative. I remember Jay came up to me, "We're using you as the example to oust the Christians." They showed me where I was going to be posing. I was so uncomfortable. There were no curtains, and the entire waitstaff of this French restaurant lined balcony upon balcony to stare at my vagina while I was on this table. I was shaking and I was terrified because I knew if I pushed back, I didn't have they'd say I didn't have what it takes, remembers Curie. Another one from her, who says she felt like she didn't have any other option than to do the shoot and to remain in the competition. Now, I've told them, F you. They had the corner for Elise, but for me, they wanted a big show to make these girls cry, but instead, I wanted to fucking die. On the episode, Manuel was shown praising Curie's performance and told Manning and Stewart that he'd curbed the standard for them, offering to create a nude illusion via skin tone underwear or a double banded top. I want Robin and Shannon to see the more intimate setting we created for the rest of the shoots. I wanted them to trust me and understand that what I was going to do for them would not expose them in any way, Manuel said on the shoot, and in the end both sat the shoot. At the panel, Banks confronted Manning over her alleged hypocrisy after she said she witnessed a prior behind-the-scenes moment in a dressing room where she said Manning shook her bare breasts at Manuel. What? Curry said that she too recalls seeing Manning doing a shimmy of her breasts in front of Manuel. I think some people get really caught up with an image, she said, of Manning. I always suspected that the debutante of our show cared more about image than reality. Stewart initially agreed to answer questions for this article, but stopped responding after several emails. Oh my God, you guys, there's so much drama. Okay, let's keep going to another one. We'll do two more. Cycle 4, Episode 5. The models switch races for ANTM's most controversial shoot. There's a twist, creative director Jay Manuel told an excited gaggle of Cycle 4 models hopefuls as they learned they'd participate in an ad for Got Milk campaign. We're actually going to switch your ethnicities. The reaction in the room was nothing short of, well, standard for the time. The models smiled, laughed, and giggled as Manuel informed the cast that some of them would undergo makeup and hair evolutions to take some from Caucasian to Black, others from Latina to white and beyond. In 2003, it's hard to imagine a group of young women getting excited about the thought of undergoing surface-level alterations to temporarily portray different races and agree to have the results televised. The cast of Cycle 4, though, maintains that they thought little of the brief at the time, years before this shoot. Another similar challenge for Cycle 13 drew sustained criticism as the internet evaluated ethics surrounding it nearly 2 decades later. I don't remember us raising concern about it because we didn't think too much into it. It was just a photo shoot. We were pretending like we did on every other shoot, Cycle 4 contestant Tiffany Richardson, who transformed to portray a Native American on the show, says. It reads differently to me today because I've grown and I understand how people could be offended by it, but I still really don't give a shit. It's not that deep for me. Competitor Kenya Hill, who's now a modeling coach, says that no one made a serious fuss about the creative because it took place prior to what she calls the sensitivity era. There's a big difference between us being artistic and having fun with the photo shoot ideas in different parts of our aesthetic. That's our job as models, Hill continued, emphasizing what she feels is a clear line between the Cycle 4 shoot and malicious intent behind blackface. If there's a non-black who goes out on Halloween painting their skin brown and making a mockery of it, then it's blackface. And those making a mockery of Black people. The two are different things. Look at the context. Callan Rondo, a white model who during the shoot received really thick foundation to darken her skin to reflect Hawaiian ethnicity, had a different view. I know Tyra got a lot of flack for all of this, as she should, because it's her name on it, she says. She needs to take responsibility for certain things. I realize this is 20 years ago, but how did we think this is actually okay? I was going to say, that would never happen. That would never happen in today's day and age. Let's just say that. It would not. Okay, guys, let's go through the last one. Again, there's more. Let me know if you want to hear more, but let's go through the last one for this episode. Cycle 4, Episode 7, Fallout from Tiffany and Tyra's tirade. Even if you're not a fan of America's Next Top Model, you're probably familiar with the moment Tyra Banks unleashed on Tiffany Richardson, the Cycle 4 contestant, on the receiving end of the infamous tirade. Oh, we're losing our co-host. which famously saw the supermodel host screaming at the eliminated contest, "I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?" for seemingly dismissing the show. "I felt like I was fucking up every goddamn time. They were ripping me apart," I said. "Every week they humiliate us," Richardson remembers of why she didn't cry over her elimination. A move that apparently set Banks off. "Every time I'm doing some stupid shit that makes me look weird and they're highlighting it. She heard me, she said something to Janice Dixon like, 'You hear her?' They took that and ran with it." Richardson said the meltdown occurred pretty true to how viewers seen it on TV, save for the part where she alleges that Bank told her deeper things than what they showed on the air. "She told me how I could go back and sleep on a dirty mattress with my baby. She got deep with it. Of course, they didn't show that. She was just insulting me," said Richardson, admitting that she was in a difficult place in her life at the time, shortly after coming off of drugs before competing. That right there let me know that you weren't rooting for me. You didn't give a fuck about me. I was just a story. I was this poor little dirty girl from Miami, and you were going to save me with this fake Cinderella story. She says that she left the set screaming, "Fuck Tyra, fuck top model," but that Banks came to her hotel room the following day and told her that she'd like to mentor her after the show. Then Richardson remembers a camera crew interviewing her about the meeting she just had, in which she praised Banks because she saw a brighter relationship forming ahead. In hindsight, Richardson, who now runs an adult daycare center for people with disabilities and says she hasn't spoken to Banks in years, sees the follow-up chat differently, especially after she says Banks would regularly call her at home in the weeks leading up to the tirade episode broadcast, but stop regular contact shortly thereafter. "She had to protect her image. She had to groom me up. I did interviews after that, so I had nothing but nice things to say about her. Then I saw her for what she was as time went by," Richardson says. I don't need you to hold my fucking hand, but if you said you're going to be my mentor, then I think you would at least call to check once every 3 or 4 months," and she didn't. "She didn't owe me anything, but she said it, so it made me think that." She did not choose to comment on these, so this is all alleged because I wasn't there, but these are some people's opinions. And I just thought, oh my goodness, let's go down a little bit of memory lane here. Gonna put up some pictures here of different contestant winners, and specifically the girls that were in these stories. So let's just look at some of them. Okay, babes. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one a little bit. I know it's lighter. I don't want to discredit anybody by saying this is lighter, but I have been talking, like I said, about criminals and pedophiles and all those kind of things, cult-like behaviors, bad moms, all of that. So this, in hindsight, even though there's a lot of work that had to be done to heal from this time, and I know a lot of millennials are still working through our body dysmorphia because of this show and things like that. But as you guys can see, just another validation that when we were younger and we're looking at Hollywood and these models and all that, and all of us were hoping to be them, that a lot of them were going through shit. Still do. That happens to this day too. But I think we think back then, like I remember just thinking, like, like Lindsay Lohan and all those, Britney Spears, all of that. Remember when we were younger thinking about how glamorous their lives were, and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and you grow up and realize that they weren't paid to do any of that, and they were just like child slaves essentially. And it's just not all rainbows and sunshines. It's really not. So hopefully this one was a little bit lighter. Thank you so much if you stuck around till the end. Don't forget, on Monday, I keep up with Canada and bring you some articles about what's happening in Canada. Today is Wednesday when this launches for Internet Insanity, and every other Wednesday. And you can find the podcast at the Be Real Babe podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Rumble every Friday with amazing interviews with amazing people. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Thanks for being here. I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye.